Gary's heartbreaking goodbye. Kathy stirs a big old pot of drama soup. And Susan throws karate kicks.
Huh?
You are watching Romance Recap on Reader Seeks Romance Channel, and we're discussing The Golden Bachelor, Season 1, Episode 3. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I am Tiffany Current.
Join us as we discuss and dissect the second chance romance journey of widower Gerry Turner as he searches for a partner with whom to share the sunset years of his life. If you are listening to us on Podbean or your fave podcast app, then be sure to like and subscribe to Romance Recap. And be sure to watch Romance Recap on Reader Seeks Romance's YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe. Hello, Tiffany.
We are back, week 3, and things are heating up a little bit. I mean, like, the golden facade has dropped, and now we have a little bit of that jealousy creeping in. It's interesting. It's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Now, how are you feeling now about Golden Bachelor with episode 3? Because you originally predicted we'd have one more week of happy before things took a turn, and things are turning now.
You know, honestly, I was a little surprised that it turned this quickly. And I'm a little unhappy about that. I think next week it's going to really take a turn. But I still enjoyed it. It was a little bit of a quieter episode this time around, which I kind of appreciated. But I still like the episode. What about you?
I agree that I was a little disappointed that the idyllic world of Golden Bachelor is beginning to crumble. But I knew it was coming. You know, it could have been worse. You know, it could have been worse, and it wasn't.
True.
Like the drama was considerable, but it wasn't totally off the charts. All I could say is every reality show needs a Kathy. So
that is true. That is true. And speaking of Kathy, we open the show, and I think it's Kathy, Susan, April, and Nancy are sitting around in the house, and Kathy has a new name for the group, and it's called Askin. If you're asking, we're telling, is what she said, which is the first initial of all their names. I was like, Kathy, man, she is very entertained and also a little bothered by some of the women on the show. So it seems.
Yes. Kathy straight up admits that she's jealous of Theresa's tiny outfits. And, you know, but I didn't quite understand that because Kathy herself is very tiny. So I didn't understand really where the source of the jealousy was coming in. When she says tiny outfits, does she think that Theresa's outfits are too short and revealing? And she wishes she had that courage to dress in that way? Because usually Kathy's dresses are pretty long. Like, she's pretty conservative. So yeah, I didn't really get that.
I don't know. I think it was more like, I don't know. She says like she was able to just like easily pull it out of her suitcase. I wasn't quite sure. But it was interesting. What was interesting is that the makeup of that asking group. I was like, what's Nancy doing in this group? But all right, that's cool.
Yeah,
but that was the note.
Nancy did not seem as invested. She seemed a little uncomfortable, frankly. If you see her in a couple of shots where she's with her fellow Askin clickmates, yeah, she seems a little uncomfortable, and Susan just seems happy just to be part of things. I feel like there's a little bit more of a malicious vibe coming from April and Kathy.
Yeah, I don't know. It was unknown to me. It was just kind of like a funny. I like that they named the group. I thought that was very funny. It was a little different. I will say though, we move from the asking group and we go straight into the group date where once again they say it's a talent show. And I'm sorry, I know they do this all the time.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of talent shows. And I feel like at this point in life, can't we just say that we've done everything? Do I have to show my talent like a Miss America contest? I don't know.
I'm curious, if you were put on the spot like that, what talent would you pull out of your bag of skills?
That's the thing. I wouldn't even know. I feel like I'd be like Sandra and maybe do a joke. I wouldn't do a joke. I think I would probably like maybe act out a scene from a movie, something like ridiculous, like maybe that scene in Jurassic Park, whatever, like the T-Rex is coming and then the water starts, moving around, and then I would just run off the stage. And this is why I wouldn't win. It's not really a good talent.
That's interesting. I think I would do some kind of impromptu interpretive dance expressing my love for Gerry.
I like that. I like that. That could be very much very Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion
Yes.
type fun dance. That would be very exciting.
Yes.
That's cute.
Before you go any further, I just want to say that I really dug the look that Gerry is rocking at the
Okay.
talent show.
Nope, because I had the exact same comment. I'm totally fine with his look, but he missed a few buttons on that
But
shirt.
it was sexy
He
Gerry. That's what he was doing, a little sex appeal there.
It
I
was
kind of
too many
dug it.
buttons for me. It was too many
It
buttons
was
for
too
me,
many, but
man. There were like 5 buttons. I was like, you're at your belly button at this point. It was too many buttons for me,
I thought it
though.
was a little sexy. Okay. It was a little sexy grandpa.
You like the skin. You wanted the skin. Okay, I got you. I was like, what's happened with the buttons? And he was just like leaning into it too. He was
Yes,
like
he
leaning it in.
was.
I'm gonna show my chest. I was like, all right, cool, man, show it.
Yeah.
Um, so they start the talent show, and we have, of course, Gerry, Jesse, and apparently Caitlin, another person from Bachelor Nation, being the judges.
Yeah.
These women get up on stage. The very first one is Sandra. She does a joke. I like Sandra because she's kind of like
Yeah.
all the stuff is kind of out there. It's just like out of the blue, like
Yeah.
out of the blue. She had like a boob joke randomly. I thought
She's
that was
very
funny.
unexpected. And I feel like
Yes,
she would really be a fun partner because you would never quite know where she's going. Because I didn't know where she was going with that joke.
me
And her
either.
delivery was really good. I mean, it was a bit of a cheesy joke, which is fine. But
Yeah.
I was like, I wasn't surprised. I actually thought she was going to curse in the punchline.
I mean, she likes to curse,
She
so
likes
it
to
would
curse,
match
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
But I thought that was funny. We got a brief shot of Susan doing karate. I wish they really would have shown us because I love Susan. I'm like, show us doing
Oh
karate. Get a
my
little
God.
Karate Kid moment. I would have loved to see that.
Of course, Susan knows karate. Or if
Of
she
course, she,
doesn't know it, she did great improv because she delivered a karate kick and chopped a wood board in half. And I was impressed. I was like, I love you,
you're
Susan.
impressed.
I just love you.
Susan's great. What I enjoyed, I know it was Ellen. Ellen came out and she was
Mhm.
like, I'm a sex ed middle school teacher. Let's do a practice. I say, what did she say? Like, I say hoo ha, you say vagina, hoo ha, vagina, hoo ha, vagina. And I was like, that was cute. That
That
was
was a
cute.
very unique talent. And
Yeah.
in the words of Gerry, Ellen is a hoot. She is a hoot.
He did say that. He did call her a hoot, which is of note. And that was of note that he said
Mm.
that.
Yes.
Kathy did push-ups. I saw, I think it was Nancy caught whipped cream in her mouth. I didn't get the full thing.
Nancy was a whipped cream shooter,
Catcher.
catcher.
Just to catch her.
That's
She's just
right.
a
That's
whipped
right.
cream catcher.
Whipped cream catcher, and yeah, it was impressive. I'm curious
Yes.
to know, did she come up with that on the spot, or is this something she's done her whole life to entertain crowds? I don't know.
I feel like she had to bring the whipped cream with her, so she must have like known it. Like she's like, I can catch whipped cream. I know for a fact I can catch whipped cream. And I was like,
Yeah,
cool. All right,
yeah, it
that's
was.
awesome.
Faith played her guitar and sung, which
Yes,
they
of
didn't really
course.
give us a lot of that.
They're not giving us a lot of faith. I don't know what's going on
Yeah,
there.
I don't know either.
They did give us a lot of Leslie. Leslie
Yes,
danced, of course, because as she noted, she's a professional dancer, Liz. I heard her
I.
say professional, and I thought of you. I was like, I told you, she's
You're
a
right.
professional woman.
Yes. Yes. No, I know. And I remember too, I was like, Tiffany was right. And there you go. She's going to mention it. I knew you were going to say something about me being wrong about that, but that's okay.
She's a professional dancer. And she did a little dance, and it was like clean up into the part where she
Oh,
brought Gerry. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm always on like erection alert.
I wonder how Gerry likes his wiener.
Like, I'm always concerned that I'm gonna see an erection. Like, I don't know like why I expect
okay.
it to happen, but whenever she brought him on stage, she started to do her little
Yeah.
dance, and I was like, can you not wiggle on top of Gerry right now? I will
Did you
say what
see
was
something? Did you
I
see?
didn't I
Oh,
didn't say anything, but right at the very
okay.
end, then the part that I thought that was cute is that she
Yeah.
revealed she also could bake, and she gave him like a brownie to eat or something or other at the end, which I thought was cute.
Yeah. She overturned a bucket that was on stage
Yes,
and revealed
yes,
baked goods. And yeah, you're right. She's like, oh, I could bake too. And she feeds it to Gerry, and then they
Yes.
kiss, because that's a thing that they kiss with food in their mouth, which, okay, sure, why not? And it seemed like it went better than the cupcake one, like,
It was
previously
you
with
and
the
that cupcake. I will say though, after the dance, when she's feeding him the cupcake, not the cupcake, but the brownie, whatever it was,
yeah.
his hands were over his crotch region.
What?
Just for a second. I don't know if they were just happened to be hanging there, but I was like, I don't know if something's going on.
Oh, I
But
missed
it's like,
that.
come on, come
I
on,
missed that. What
come
was
on,
April
Leslie.
doing? It said she was a beatnik. So was she delivering some kind of empowering spoken word performance?
Okay, I could not understand what was happening. Like I don't think I ever read what it said about her. So I'm like, what is she talking about? And I
Yeah,
kept
it said
waiting for,
beatnik, like from the 60s.
okay, that's interesting. I don't
Yeah, I don't
know.
I don't know either. I do know though that Joan's expression after the whole Leslie thing it was crestfallen, because
Yeah,
she's been telling us through little clips how scared she is because she doesn't feel she has a talent. What is she going to do? And her face after seeing the big production that was Leslie's performance, like Joan just looks so
I
like
know.
upset, and I really felt for her.
I felt for her too because I get it. I don't want to be up on that stage doing a talent. As you heard, I would do Jurassic Park, and that's not great.
Yeah, I don't
So
think
like
you'd win that talent show, but that's just a guess.
I think you are correct about that. That's a good assumption. But what I liked about her, even though she was very nervous and etc., she went up, she did a poem titled
Yes.
like
I just hope I don't vomit on your shoes.
that's it. And it was a super cute poem about meeting him and etc. And that's saying that she felt
Mhm.
nervous and that she didn't want to vomit on his shoes.
Yeah,
It was a super cute poem. I
it
really liked her
was.
then. Yeah,
It
she won me
was
over.
it was really heartfelt, and it rhymed. Like it was, because rhyming is usually very fun, um but it also had a really profound feel to it and vibe. I
Yeah.
If she just whipped that up that in that moment, I don't know how much time there was in between women going up to perform, but if she whipped that up pretty quickly, then poetry definitely is her talent.
That's a talent. That was very impressive. I'm like, that's a sweet,
Yeah.
super poem. And because of that poem,
Mm-hmm.
she got the rose, man. She got the rose.
She got the rose, and she got the special one-on-one date with
Yep.
Gerry.
And the one-on-one date. And we see them, I guess we see them getting ready for the date. I don't remember, but at some point he remembers. I remember him saying that I'm excited to be spending time with you here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's thinking about the future. I thought that was a note. I'm like, that's nice for some reason. Something like that.
Yeah, they had a fantastic, cozy little date.
They did have a
They
good date.
really they shared some meaningful conversation. Joan speaking about how much she enjoyed being married to her late husband. She mentioned about the sacrifice she made to come on the show because her daughter
Yeah.
just gave birth and had a rough delivery. And I really felt they were vibing.
They were
And
vibing.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, like at that point, I thought Joan is the only woman for him.
I never discount Faith, so I can't say that. But in that moment, I was also like, man, I think Joan is a good fit. And can I just say for a call out though,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was there in the limo, but she was wearing this beautiful like square necklace or something or other. And I was like, I don't know. I wanted to
It,
just call it out.
it was like a geometric type
Yes.
of shit. Yeah. Call it out because you really liked it. You thought it
I
was,
really liked it.
yeah,
It was a beautiful necklace. I was like,
yeah,
I don't know. It
yeah.
stood out for me.
Yeah. I
They
wonder
kissed.
if she chose that. Yeah. I actually
I don't
noticed
know.
that was an interesting choice too. And I wonder if that's just speaking to her artistic, poetic
What
sensibilities.
what does she do for a living? Because that was a really nice. Do we
Why
know
do
what
I
she
feel
does?
like she's a school administrator?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it
Maybe.
was anything with fashion. I think she's a school
I think
administrator.
you're correct. I like the necklace. I
Mhm.
remember them kissing multiple times and I'm like, I like them, but as they left, I remember thinking, I wrote this down, I'm a little worried for her. I was like, I'm a little worried for her
Oh,
because she's just now feeling ready to date. And I'm
yeah.
like, and she has to deal with this new grandchild. I was a little worried. And apparently
You were
So were the
right.
producers, because cut to
Cut to
next morning.
the mansion the next day. Joan has just received a text from her daughter who is in distress. Not quite
Yes.
sure what exactly is going on post partum.
Postpartum, yeah.
Yeah, but so Joan decides I've got to go be a parent. I have to leave the show and be with my daughter. And all the women in the mansion were genuinely upset and crying for their
Yes.
friend, which I thought in that moment, oh, we're not going to see any drama amongst the women for a long time because they have such a show of solidarity. But they were upset, and then Joan had to tell Gerry.
Let me just say something really fast. When the women were all together crying, and Susan was one of those people I remember being so supportive,
Yeah.
I started crying too. I was like, this is like a beautiful female moment where people are like,
Yeah.
I can understand because of my kid and this and that. And family was, it was just, I was crying. I was like, oh my God, this show is pushing me to tears. I totally felt it.
Yeah. That's interesting. So I feel like you were more sentimental about the women friendship
It was
scenario.
really sweet to see because Susan was
Mhm.
like, oh, but you just connected with Gerry. How could
Yeah.
you leave? And I was like, Susan, I
Yeah.
fucking love you, Susan. You're amazing. They're just so supportive of her and her moment. It was really sweet.
I want to get Susan on the show, by the way.
I would love to get Susan on the show. She's amazing. We could talk about hair and pasta the entire time.
Oh my God. I want her to come cook for me and live with me for a little bit. I don't want her to karate chop things around my house.
Done. I think she can do that. She can do all of that because Susan can do anything. She's amazing. But as you said, cut to Gerry pulling up. He's looking very chipper. He's excited.
Oh yeah.
And then we see Joan.
And Joan's like, hey, Ger. So I've got to step up, be a mom. My daughter's not doing well.
Yep.
I have to leave. And Gerry was devastated.
He was heartbroken. It was to the point where I'm like, should we continue the show? Because he literally said, I got up this morning. I was dancing because of this date.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God.
Yes. He put his head down. He was visibly distraught. His voice was shaky. I believe there was some waterworks going on in the eyes. He was gracious. He said, I totally understand. Yes. I'm disappointed, but I understand. And they shared just a warm, tearful hug and kiss. Yeah. And she was whisked away in a limo.
And once again, I was crying. I cried. I don't know if it was because it was the morning time and I didn't get enough sleep when I was watching this. I was crying all throughout this freaking show. When she was in that limo and like Gerry was crying, she was crying, I was crying. The only thing that took me out of it, I'm not even kidding, is when she's in the limo, she lifts up her finger to like wipe away a tear, and she's wearing this beautiful like princess cut yellow diamond, and I was like, this woman's taste in jewelry is amazing. And like that took me out of it. It was gorgeous.
I never thought that you enjoy jewelry as much as you're claiming to. Really?
I don't wear jewelry. You know me, I'm not into jewelry. But she was wearing beautiful pieces all throughout this episode. It kept catching my eye. And I was like, she has to have her own jewelry line or something. She's amazing. I like her pieces.
Yeah, she's got style. So next, we head on back inside the mansion and meet fashion designer Michael Costello. I don't know who Michael Costello is.
He's from Project Runway. He's from Project Runway. I saw him. He was from Project Runway. And I was like, that's cool. That's exciting.
I'm unfamiliar with that designer's work. But he shows up to dress one lucky lady of Gerry's choosing for a one-on-one date. And who does he pick?
Ellen. Look, it was.
Oh, you don't seem very happy about that.
I am so mixed about this because I am here to support Ellen. And she seems like a very sweet woman, but I am unsure of what the producers, I feel like the producers are kind of like pushing some things, and I want to just be careful with her. But I will say it was very cute. He's like, it's your night. I'm going to dress you up. Cut to Pretty Woman scene of like her trying on this dress and that
was nice. She looked fantastic in the dresses. Yeah.
She looked fantastic. She came out wearing the dress. And then I think Gerry sees her and he's sitting on the couch looking very cozy, by the way,
Oh,
between the women.
let me tell you something. He feels by episode 3, he's more comfortable with his role as the Golden Bachelor.
Shut up. It's
No,
true.
I'm being serious. Like he seems a bit more self-possessed and comfortable as he, walks around the mansion.
Yeah, he's walking around like he owns the place, that's for sure. He ended up in a bedroom later on in the episode. I was like, how did you even know to
Uh,
go there?
yeah, I can't wait to discuss that.
So they go off on their date, and this is why I was partially concerned because I've been getting friend vibes between Gerry and Ellen, and Gerry
Mm-hmm.
even says that she's a hoot. I feel like I can be my most myself with her, but he's not sure if there's a love connection. So that's why I'm like, I know. I'm so like, be
Yeah.
careful, producers.
Yeah, he wants to test their romantic connection. And I'll be
Yes.
honest, totally get the friend vibe between the two of them as well. So Ellen and Gerry go on this date, and the first thing she's asking him is about his wedding day 50 years ago. And she's like, "Oh, tell me all about your wedding." And I thought that was kind of an odd, again, I think that might have been a producer saying, "Hey, ask him about the wedding so he could bring up his wife and all that." And Gary's like, "Yeah, I actually don't remember very much. It was a
Why are
great
you asking
day."
me this question? He's like, I don't know what happened.
I see where you might be concerned because
Yes.
then Gerry pulls out diamond earrings. Now, to give to Ellen. So
I
far, he
know.
gave her that very sentimental,
Yep.
the framed photo of the two of them in the wedding photo shoot. Now
Yes.
he's given her
Yes.
diamond earrings, and I think you're right. Like it's Ellen might be thinking he thinks
He's
more of
not
her than he
making these
does.
choices. He's not making these choices. The
Right?
producers are, and that's why I'm concerned because Ellen
Yeah.
seems like a very nice woman. And
Yes.
so it's like and he's getting the friend vibe from her, so I'm concerned. It's like
Yeah.
producers, can we just be nice with her heart here, be gentle? And then they go up, of
Yeah.
course, in this beautiful hot air balloon. And of course
Oh,
he
I
says,
know.
have you ever kissed in a hot air balloon? That was a line from the producers for a fact. And then they kissed. Fine. Fine. That's cool.
But here's the thing, too, is they reserved, in my opinion, one of the most romantic dates, which is the hot air balloon for Ellen. I mean, I've been in a hot air. Have you ever done the hot air balloon thing?
No, I've always wanted to go in a hot air balloon. I was so jealous.
Oh
I
my
know I
God.
always wanted to go.
Really?
I
Tom and
know.
I, Tom being my husband, when we were first courting many years ago, we did a hot air balloon for our 1 year dating anniversary in Temecula,
Oh,
California, over the vineyard.
Temecula's where to do it. That's
Yeah.
super cute.
Yeah, no,
That's super
it's
cute.
really lovely. And to me, it's a very romantic thing. Also being
Yes.
clothes in the basket, and he offers her the rose, and she's like, "Oh, yes." And I'm like, wow, they really stepped up for the date with Ellen. So again, you're right. The producers, what are they
The
up to?
producers are choosing. So if you
Yeah.
notice the type of dates and who they're choosing, they have
Yeah.
the producer favorites. Teresa got this song and dance diner show. That was a big production. Then we got this hot air balloon with Ellen.
Yeah.
And then freaking Jones, like, let's just put her down on like, at a table over here in the corner. Like the producers are choosing carefully.
I wish I could be on the production team just to pick their brains on
All
their
I know is
decisions.
they bought Ellen some freaking earrings. But while
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the next day or not, but then
Hmm.
we cut to after this beautifully orchestrated date by the producers. The next day we cut to the women in the kitchen, closing on Kathy and Theresa. And apparently Theresa is recapping what her date was and how magical and amazing it was and
Yeah.
how they made plans to go to Italy. And Kathy is not happy. She is not having this conversation.
She is not. And I believe she voices her displeasure to the camera. And then the next scene
Yes.
after that is Kathy, Theresa, and Leslie are in kind of a courtyard patio of the mansion. And Kathy tells Theresa and Leslie, "Hey, if either of you get a rose, I'm going to take it because possession is 9/10 of the law," and does kind of like a and everyone, and even Leslie and Theresa are like, okay, like, I don't think she's joking totally. Kathy ain't asking. She's taking that rose.
Shut up.
And then
I
Kathy's
know.
voiceover, there's like a voiceover in that scene that reveals that
Yeah.
she thinks Teresa is looking at her as if she doesn't have a chance with Gerry. So it's like Kathy's kind of projecting maybe her own insecurities and thinking, oh, well, Teresa's giving me these looks like I'm never going to win Gerry. And I'm like, okay.
I don't know what's going on. This is my opinion on the situation. You have to imagine like these women are locked in a sauna. And the very first hour, it's like, you know what? This feels really nice. This is good. This is good for
Mhm.
me. By hour 5, they are boiling. They have different personalities. They are on edge. And that's what I think is happening here. What we're seeing now is they've been together in this
Mm.
house for a couple weeks. I
Yeah.
think tensions are starting to rise because they're sleeping on freaking bunk beds in a tiny little room
Yeah.
without like any drawer space. They're frustrated. So I do feel like people are starting to react some.
Yeah. First of all, that was an excellent analogy. Excellent analogy.
Thank you.
That
I
was
try.
that is perfect. It describes very well the situation that Edith alludes to when they
Yes.
speak with her. She says, listen, tensions are high because people are starting to get jealous. And Edith
Yes.
kind of didn't want anything to do with it. And Leslie's like, I'm just going to turn down my hearing aid when things start
She's
getting
funny.
saucy because I don't want to deal with it. Um,
I will
yeah,
just say really quickly, once again, when they cut to Edith, I was like, stunning.
she
So I can't
is.
help myself. Whenever I see her, stunning. Her
Yeah.
hair, stunning.
Yeah,
This woman was
very
flawless.
classy, very
Very
internationally
classy.
classy. She's got like that European flair. I don't know.
Beautiful.
Yeah, she's
I don't know how she does it. She's beautiful. And I think
yeah.
at the whatever it was, the night when they're drinking with Gerry, she's wearing maybe like a bronze dress or something.
Yeah.
I was like, this
Oh,
woman
that
is
gold.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yes, gorgeous.
Yeah. Edith is
Um,
something special.
she
Yeah.
is something. She's stunning. So let's talk about
Ooh, the cocktail
that
party.
night. We're at the cocktail party, then all of a sudden we see April tell Teresa, I think Teresa's saying something or other, I don't even remember what. And April tells her to keep her mouth shut. Something along those lines. I was like, man, these women aren't
Yeah.
messing. You have a
April,
moment with Gerry,
yeah.
keep your mouth shut.
April made it seem as if she was just kind of addressing the group, but
Yes.
she was really looking at Teresa and passively aggressively, yes, was like, hey, if you have an intimate moment with Gerry, have the dignity and respect to shut your mouth. Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
And Teresa was like, her eyes went up. Like, okay, I think she's talking to me.
She was smart enough to realize she was talking to her. And then when she
Yes.
asked April about it, she's like, you got to talk to Kathy. I don't have a problem with you, but talk to Kathy.
She threw Kathy under the bus because
She's
Kathy
like,
didn't know April was going to do that.
nope. April's like,
Yeah.
clean up your own mess, Kathy. I will say this before we get to the Kathy Gerry conversation.
Yeah.
Gerry sits down with Faith. Whenever I see
Yes.
Gerry and Faith together, I'm like, can we give them a date? Can I see them
Yeah.
together? Why are you keeping him from Faith? It's driving me nuts.
Do
But
you?
I was watching their body language.
Yeah.
His hand was straight up on her knee, man. Did you see that? It was directly on his knee,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
directly on her
Yes.
knee.
There was
Breathing.
physical contact between the two
Yes.
the entire time they were chatting about day
Yes.
tripping on their motorcycle. Apparently, Gerry used to ride a motorcycle, he said. I was surprised by
Who
that.
knew?
Yeah.
You know, he builds boats, he rides a motorcycle, he has this whole life that we're unaware of.
The man can do anything.
He could do, I will say they seem very familiar with each other. They
They
were
do.
body language turned towards each other, touching her knee, they kissed again, and I was like, I freaking love Faith. I love her.
Yeah.
I think she's great.
Do you think that Faith is going to finally get a one-on-one in episode 4?
Here's what I don't know. I
Hmm.
don't know because I feel like the producers are keeping him away from her for some reason. Maybe because they're
Yeah.
trying to drag out the show and they know if they go on a date, then he's going to realize this is my ride or die. I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah.
I would prefer almost, since I already know they have chemistry, to see Gerry go on dates with other people. I want to see him go out with Susan. I want to see him go out with Sandra. I want to see him go out with women that he hasn't spent time with because
Yeah.
I want to see that. Like, do they connect? Do
Yeah.
they not? That's just my opinion. What
Absolutely.
about you? What do you think? Do you think she's gonna get a date next episode, Faith?
No, I think they're going to keep drawing it out with her because I think because she got that first impression rose, I don't know. They're holding off. They're making her wait. I think the next one, geez, maybe I honestly I think they're gonna leave Susan and Sandra too for late because I think they know that they're the ones we're invested in. So they're just gonna keep us waiting. So we keep watching. So
They're
I'm
gonna
thinking
drag it out.
maybe I don't think he's done a one-on-one with Nancy. So maybe a one-on-one with Nancy.
That's fair. Maybe they haven't.
Unless I'm wrong. Now I can't remember if they had
No,
one.
they sat down on the bench together, but they didn't have an actual
Yeah.
one-on-one. But let's shift. Kathy finally gets her moment with Gerry. It's very sweet. She's showing pictures of her dad to him.
Yeah.
And then she admits she had a bad day. I think she starts crying potentially, right? Or she's just very
Oh,
emotional.
she started crying because she said she had had a really bad afternoon. And why did she have a bad afternoon,
I'm such a
Tiffany?
terrible person because of Theresa. But what I will give her this, right? She admitted that she had a bad afternoon, that some of the girls were saying things, and he asked her directly who it was. And to her credit, she did not say. She said, "All I want for you is to find love." So I was like, you know what? Good for Kathy.
See,
From
I believe
your
all that.
expression, oh my God.
I don't believe this is all calculated. Kathy is duplicitous.
Oh my
She's
God.
duplicitous. We've
Okay.
seen what she says to the camera, and then when she's with Gerry, she does something differently, which is interesting because when we first learn about her and her clique, what does she say? She made fun of women for all of a sudden acting differently when Gary's in the room. But
You're correct.
she's the biggest offender in that regard. Kathy is crying. She puts on the waterworks and she says that she's the victim of meanness. There's meanness
Mm-hmm.
and people not being nice to her. And Gerry immediately is like, well, who should I be like looking out for? And he wants to know,
Yeah.
I guess, who did it. And then Kathy got all coy and was very, vague. And it's like, well, not everyone is who they seem. And so she doesn't, like you said, she doesn't
You're
give an
right. She
answer, which
doesn't say it though.
which I guess is commendable. I don't know. And because
I
she's so like distraught and says, "Oh, I only want your happiness," then Gerry gives Kathy a rose. But in my opinion, he only gave her the rose because Joan had a rose and she left. So there was a rose to be given out.
That's you're such a terrible person. I don't know if that's why he did it, but I agree there is a rose to be given out. I think Gary's actually a really nice
He
person, and I think
is.
he felt for her, and that's why he gave her the rose. I was like, all right,
He
that's
is.
sweet.
But what's interesting is he said to the camera, if Kathy is saying someone was mean, then I really have to pay attention because she's such a supportive, nice person. But as we've seen, she's very catty. So I don't really think she's particularly supportive. But, I guess she picks
I
and
don't
chooses her
know.
moments.
I will say that
Yeah,
Kathy and Theresa did have a talk because Theresa
they
was
did.
like, April said you had an issue with me. And Kathy, like, she was kind about it, but explained what had happened.
You think
And
she
what
was
was,
kind about it, do you?
I feel like
I think she was merciless. I thought she was kind of unfair.
it was interesting to me. I was almost impressed by it because apparently Kathy was very hurt by whatever it was Theresa said. And she was explaining it to Theresa, and then Theresa started crying and saying, "Oh my God, I didn't know." And Kathy's like, "No, no, no. I'm not going to give you sympathy right now. You did this. I'm not going to give you sympathy for being upset over this." I was like,
Yeah.
as a woman, I was like, I'm kind of envious that you can just kind of like tear into someone like this.
It,
I'm
it, uh,
saying
it
it
is
was kind of
impressive.
cool. It was I don't know if it was the right person to do it to, but I was like, man, I gotta do this in my life. I've got to be
Yeah.
this harsh
Yeah.
when I'm like, reading somebody out, like, oh, I don't care if you're crying.
Yeah. I thought I was mildly impressed, but I also feel that
Yeah,
it was misdirected at Theresa. So Kathy basically tells Theresa, listen, whenever you talk about Gerry, I feel like you're dismissing me. I feel that when you give us details about your dates, you're being possessive about him and territorial. And Theresa really seemed to genuinely feel bad and was not
yeah,
aware of that.
yes,
I think Theresa just viewed it as girlfriend sharing stuff. And
I agree.
Theresa shared with Kathy, and Kathy didn't want to hear it. But I do understand that why Kathy would be like, hey, listen, keep it to
Yeah.
yourself. Like, I get that. But we also know that Kathy was, talking smack about numerous women in the show.
So that happens. Teresa is so distraught that she goes up to her bedroom, sits in the bed, starts crying. The Faith, who I freaking love,
Oh,
Faith
yeah.
comes in. She sits with her. She's very empathetic. She says, no, you didn't mean it that way. You're just sharing what happened, which is kind of how I took it, but whatever. I'm not
Yeah,
there.
right.
And then out of the freaking blue, Gerry appears in this bedroom. I was like, Gerry, how do you know where this bedroom is? Like, how are you just wandering around this house?
The producers told him. The
I
producers told
know.
him. They'd
I
let
know,
him
but it
write to
was
her. Yeah.
so he goes in. Faith is kind because she leaves because I think honestly I would have just hung on the bed while they were having this conversation. That's what I would have done.
I would have been listening by
Um,
the door.
right? Like, what are they gonna say? He comes in and he talks to Teresa. He was very surprised to hear that it was Teresa,
Yeah.
but he still comforted her, and I think she took that very well. He
Yeah.
encouraged her to just let it go. I wrote that down. He said, just let it go. If in your
Yeah.
heart you felt like you did this way, then just let it go. Gary's a
Yeah.
good guy. He's very sweet.
He is. And honestly, he must be a fantastic dad because the
Yeah,
advice and the advice he's given, the support he's shown, it's like his daughters must adore him.
I agree. He's a really good person. Um, from that, I think we randomly just cut to the rose ceremony out of the
Yeah.
blue.
Yeah, we kind of cut to the it's just let's get the rose ceremony going. Yes, which we as we know is Gary's dreaded part of the show, but he appears to be getting used to it because I don't
Yes.
think he shed any tears this time.
Well, that's because he got rid of like two people he rarely talked to. The two people that he ended up letting go were Edith, the beautiful, amazing, glamorous Edith,
Mhm.
and Christina. And I was like, who's
I
Christina?
don't remember anything about Christina, and that saddens me because I would have liked to have gotten to know her first.
He got rid of those two women. It was very unsurprising, and I don't think he shed any tears. But after that very non-dramatic rose ceremony, the women are sitting around talking about how wonderful Gerry is.
Standing around, no chairs were
I'm
provided.
sorry, no chairs, you're correct.
Guys, do the rose ceremony in chairs. You have people in here 60, 70, and above. Do the rose ceremony in the chairs.
The women are standing around, and then I think Kathy was saying, oh, Gary's so great. He was comforting me because you all know I had a bad day. And then Teresa says, he did the same for me when I was upstairs in the bedroom on the bed.
Oh, hell no.
And Kathy's like, that right there, that you should not be sharing with me.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I did agree with Kathy's reaction because
Yes,
Teresa, there was this whole big hoopla
I
about you
agree.
giving details. And she was like, oh, yeah, Gary showed up in the bedroom when I was upset. And Kathy's like, no, you should. So Teresa did not
Yes,
learn her lesson. And that's when Kathy said, very, I think, unkindly to the camera. Well, Teresa's a nice lady, but I don't know if she's dumb as a rock or if she knows exactly what she's doing, as in her being conniving or, scheming. So I
yeah,
thought that was, I think Teresa is just maybe not used to being in a cutthroat environment or a competitive environment
that's
and
fair.
is just sharing and is someone who likes to share. And she's not used to being told, hey, no, please, I don't want to know. So.
I agree. With a comment, I did think it was also harsh, but randomly, that's how the show ended. It just like
Yeah,
ended there out of the
that's
blue. I was like, okay.
That's how it ended. And just to recap, the contestants who remain in the circle of safety, trademarked by the Golden Bachelor, are Teresa, Leslie, Ellen, Sandra, Susan, Nancy, Faith, April, and Kathy.
That's right. Yep, good for them.
And then we were given some dramatic previews. Do you have any thoughts
Ugh.
on the preview for episode 4?
So next week, apparently the ladies are playing pickleball. And don't forget
Yes,
that Ellen is a pickleball captain, by the way.
that's
Thank you,
right.
producers. Someone gets hurt on the pickleball court. Was it April? She's maybe like, I broke my leg. Somebody did. I couldn't
Oh,
remember what
I
it
thought it was
was.
Nancy.
Wasn't it? Some woman
Yeah,
hurt their leg playing
yeah,
pickleball. And then on top of that, we saw lots of kissing. We saw lots of kissing over the
yeah.
sunset. And then I think I saw Susan kiss Gerry. And I was thinking, finally, maybe she gets a
Yes.
date with him.
Oh,
Finally.
yes.
I just saw lots of kissing. That was my big takeaway.
Lot of kissing. My only thoughts after seeing those previews, one, I want more screen time with Sandra.
Yes, yes,
I want more screen time with Susan actually interacting
yes,
with Gerry.
yes,
And
absolutely.
I have a prediction, and I don't think it's necessarily going to happen in episode 4, but I feel as if Kathy will not allow Gerry to say goodbye to her and ask her to leave. I think Kathy will end up leaving. If she sees it going in that direction, think Kathy would just leave. That's what I think. I don't think she wants to be told to leave. I think she
Be
wants to leave on her own
dismissed.
terms.
We will just have to watch and see. That I don't know.
I guess we will.
It was a good show. I'm curious to see what will happen next week as we've gotten smaller numbers. What's going to happen?
Yeah,
I don't know.
for sure. Well, that's all we got for you. I think the most important lesson that we've learned from episode 3 of The Golden Bachelor is jealousy knows no age.
I have no response to that. I think that's great.